We are right back here on the Ultimate Browns. Quincy Carrier in the building. Make sure you go follow him. Make sure you check out his podcast on YouTube. He has thousands of videos, so all you have to do is put Quincy Carrier in. Like, I think he's hacked the algorithm. Like, when you put Browns, they'd be like, do you mean Quincy Carrier Browns? Did you mean Quincy Carrier? I ain't hating, bro. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing your thing over there, man. Keep doing
hacking. It's just hard work. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? Ain't no
thousands
cheat codes over there.
Well, let's get to another guy who's hacked the algorithm for millions of dollars. One Pat McAfee. He's over there doing big things at ESPN, and he had Andrew Berry on, who talked a little bit about, and they got into Jerry Jeudy and why the Browns went and made him one of their free agents.
This offseason, big one. We bring in Jerry Jeudy. Okay, that's a massive trade. Want another weapon for the offense? Is that the thought there? And when you're doing these types of things, are you going with a full team view? Is it player by player basis? How do you go about making your decisions, Andrew?
It's a little combination of both. I think as we looked into the offseason, call it 65% plus of the game is played in 11 personnel with 3 receivers. And, obviously our passing game, last year went through Amari Cooper and David Njoku, and we had traded for Elijah Moore, drafted Seb Tillman. But when Jerry was available, we felt like we could add a player that was a top-notch separator in this league, had a diverse number of ways that he could produce, whether it's from the outside, the inside, vertically. And he really kind of fit the profile and skill set that we really wanted in our offense. So we looked at that as a great opportunity for us, and we were aggressive with trying to bring him in.
Yeah, and you land him, and a lot of people immediately go back to all the drama that potentially surrounded Jerry Jeudy in Denver. Sometimes a new stop, new place is refreshing, especially with a city that wants it. And last year, watching the Cleveland Browns fans, the dog pound.
And he goes on to talk about what the Cleveland Browns were able to do last year, Quincy, especially when you're dealing with a lot of the adversity. Joe Flacco was one of the best stories moving. But back to Jerry Jeudy, I think he mentions the fact that, look, sometimes, you need a new start. Sometimes you need a new place. And the story is the Cleveland Browns have been looking at Jerry Jeudy since he was drafted out of Alabama. They always scouted him. They kept in contact. They kept doing their due diligence on him, and it just so happened they had an opportunity to get him. Is there, what is it that you think that he sees in Jerry Jeudy that maybe the fans don't necessarily see and might be excited about that potentially could happen this year?
I mean, Jerry Jeudy's productive, right? He might not be as productive as people want him to be, but he's been an 800, 900-yard wide receiver. And, just think about what this offense could have done if they had somebody like that last year who can produce 800 to 900 to even 1,000 yards, which he got very close to a couple years ago, even while playing with Russell Wilson, who at this point of his career just is not the same level of player that he once was. Yeah, you see a guy who can be a separator, like he said. You see a guy who can be a difference maker, who can help you stretch the field and create explosive plays. And I think that that's what they see with him, right? They see a guy that they can put out there in trips. They see a guy that they can have, take some attention away from David Njoku. And think about this last year, right? When Amari Cooper had 230 yards in that game, and the Texans decided we're just going to double team him. We really had nobody to go to after that. Nope. When David Njoku had that 200-yard first quarter against the Jets, and then they double teamed him, and Amari Cooper wasn't in the game. We really had nobody to go to, especially after Elijah Moore went down. They want to avoid being in that situation, and the way you avoid being in that situation is having more and more guys who can produce. And you have to imagine that Jerry Jeudy in a situation like that would be able to produce.
Yeah, I think I think when people see Jerry Jeudy, they get it confused a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A couple of more yards here, a couple of more yards there, a few more catches. And there's a lot of things that you can do in garbage time to make your stats look really good. I mean, he's over 800, almost close to 900 yards. A couple more yards here or there puts you at 1,000 yards, and people are all of a sudden saying, oh, this is a steal. I think people don't realize as well there's a cumulative effect. You have Amari Cooper, who is going to now be the guy who's going to be drawing most of the attention. Now you got a guy like Jerry Jeudy backside that's going to be working on other guys. You now slot Elijah Moore down in the pecking order. Maybe you can move him around where you're not getting him jammed on the line of scrimmage, or you can do some other things with him. I just think overall that the people they get really like caught up, Q, in the numbers, because they're just like, oh, but you extended him, and it's like that's the price of doing business. Like if I go back a couple of years, I was on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and they was going crazy that they gave David Njoku a new contract. And I said, guys, they're not giving him the contract based on what he's doing now. They're projecting what he's going to be based on the new direction that they want to go. And they feel he has the skill set to get there. David Njoku has what I would call a breakout year last year. Now everybody's okay with the money. I think sometimes people don't project far enough in the future about where they are going to be, not necessarily where they're at.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to contract conversations, it usually ends up being something that it's like draft grades. It's like the day that you talk about it the most, the contract, is the day that contract matters the least, right? Or your opinion on that contract matters the least. We can have all these hot takes about Jerry Jeudy's contract right now, but if Jerry Jeudy shows up this year and produces, 1,100 yards, nobody's gonna care that he's getting paid $17 million a year, right? Like that's not gonna be a thing. Really, a contract is meant to be judged towards the end of it. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Look, how many times over the last few years people talked about $230 million for Deshaun Watson. But if they get to the AFC Championship game this year, they get to the Super Bowl this year, I don't think anybody's really going to care about that money, right? Like, you spent money to get to where you got to. Okay, that's what the objective is spending money. So yeah, I find contract talk early on to be a bit premature. And I think it tends to be overblown too when people have it prematurely, because people don't have a good scope of what people are getting paid and what they're gonna get paid in the future, right? Like, I think that there are some people who do have a great grip on that, and those are the people I'm like, okay, if they say that contract makes sense, then I'm not really tripping.
Yeah, sometimes when you need it, you just got to go out and do it. Really quickly, there are some guys. Odell Beckham Jr. just signed with the Dolphins. You look at guys that are available. Zay Jones, I think Tyler Boyd signed with someone as well. Do you think there's any chance the Browns bring in another free agent, or you think they're fine with the Jamari Thrashes? They're going to keep say with Cedric Tillman, David Bell, or do you think there is a chance they bring in someone like a Zay Jones who happened to be out there on free agency?
Last year, I remember going into the season thinking, hey, man, Cedric Tillman has a good chance to get a healthy role on this team. There's not like a rookie. I'm like, man, we're going to be relying on this rookie to do something this year. Like, there just isn't this year. Like even Michael Hall, it'd be cool if he outplays everybody at defensive tackle and gets to a starting level in year one, but like it ain't necessary at all. Like, we got the guys to hold that down until you figure it out.
Right.
So yeah, it's a different situation. And when you have all those vets in those areas, it screams to me that you probably don't need to add another veteran. I couldn't imagine where, like maybe at linebacker, if they feel like a Sam becomes available or something like that they can add for cheap. That they know, hey, push come to shove, if this competition doesn't go our way, we can put this dude in at Sam. Because I'm not as high on Devin Bush as other people are. I don't think that Devin Bush is going to make the team, is my hot take. Like, I think that.
Oh, no, that's not a hot take. It's a long shot. He has to, like, ball out. Like, he got to play well. And play well, like, obviously well. Not like just, hey, he made some tackles here or there.
Yeah. And I think Diabite and Tony Fields are probably going to have that role kind of locked down. But if they don't feel comfortable about those two's ability to lock down the role, I could see them maybe getting a Sam. But that might even happen like all the way at the end of camp. Like, like maybe they try to bring in somebody late that got cut or was going to get be in a precarious situation. They trade like they got like 6 round picks next year. So they could trade one of those guys. And that's what those picks are going to be used for, right? Like those late round picks that they have, they'll trade them for, guys that they feel like can fill in for a role, but they don't really have much of that going on. But it'd be interesting to see, but I don't think they will.